There's different regulations that our clients are dealing with. At the federal level, right now, the regulations are what's called self-implementing. So the regulations are out there published by EPA, but EPA is not enforcing them. The clients are supposed to self-implement, and if they're not doing what they should be doing, then they're subject to citizens' lawsuits. They're also regulated at the state level in many states where there is active, coal and coal power production. So a lot of them actually have a dual regulatory environment where there's this federal regulation where they're told what they need to do, but they're on their own to get it done. And then they also have to comply with state requirements, and they're not always lined up. Sometimes they're conflicting. But there's things like drinking water standards for metals, and that's what they are exceeding, and they need to come back into compliance and clean those things up. And there's a variety of remediation technologies that Geosyntec looks at for our clients to evaluate really on a case-by-case basis. Every site is unique, and so we sort of look through the various options at each site to see what is the best choice for that client. The traditional kind of default or presumptive approach that the regulators we call pump and treat. It's groundwater extraction, usually through wells where you extract the groundwater with physical pumps, and then once it's above ground, you have to treat it to remove the contaminants. There's a really innovative alternative to that works in some situations, which is called tree well, where it's essentially a solar-driven biological pump. The trees are extracting and controlling the groundwater. They're a physical barrier to the flow, and they extract the groundwater, and it's basically sequestered in the roots of the trees that the metals are. Beyond that, we also look at trying to use the chemistry of the metals to treat them in the ground by injecting reagents to precipitate them into insoluble solids, and they just sort of stay in the ground. And then there's also natural attenuation, where we study that the good processes that Mother Nature is doing on her own, are they good enough? And how long will it take for that to reach the cleanup goals that are in the regulations? We are usually kind of working on the cutting edge of research with the top universities and getting familiar with the latest treatment approaches that have the potential to save the client time and money in coming back into compliance. And a lot of times we're the first to field with those technologies, and the other consultants can't offer these choices. They don't have the know-how or the hands-on experience with them yet.